Okay, we're going to get straight in, and hopefully participants will come and join. So I'm joined here. Well, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Amy Guttman. I'm a broadcast journalist, normally based in London, covering tech and current affairs and the confluence of geopolitical shifts and looking at those shifts through the lens of entrepreneurship and technology. And I'm joined on the stage by two very interesting researchers who are doing very relevant work to our society and technology today. First, Mariam Khateri, a researcher in advanced photonic research at the Technology Innovation Institute here in Abu Dhabi. And to her right is Aryan, machine learning researcher also at the Technology Innovation Institute with a focus on privacy preserving machine learning, PPML. I'm going to ask you each to just spend a minute introducing yourselves in a little greater detail so that we understand the focus of your work and how it relates to our lives today.
So my name is Mariam Khateri, and I am a researcher at Technology Innovation Research. So what we do is we work in our center, the directed...
Maybe just hold the mic a little closer to your face.
Sure. So the Directed Energy Research Center in the Photonic Department. I'm a part of the light processing team. And what we do is that we actually look at laser beams and we shape them to do certain applications and enhance certain things to be more advanced and more improved. So mostly what we do is that we use optical schemes and we infuse them sometimes with AI learning methods to make them even more improved and developed. And so for now, I am a researcher. I'm currently looking to be in a PhD program one day. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, thank you. And Aryan?
Hi, so my name is Aryan. I'm from TII. I'm a machine learning researcher, and most of my work revolves around how you can do all of the fancy stuff with machine learning, but you can also make the data private. So basically, you do not reveal the data, but you're still able to apply machine learning algorithms to it. And yep, that's my intro.
Okay, we're going to flesh out a bit more during this talk. And I think the common thread between the two of you is the fact that what you're working on directly relates to the increased demand for data along with privacy. And I think it's like any new technology. As it develops and as it grows and as that demand grows, we suddenly discover that there are new problems to contend with that we hadn't perhaps anticipated. So I want to start with you, Mariam. How does your work relate directly to this increased demand for data? Because I think it's possible for one to see the work that you do as quite abstract or quite deep techie science, but it actually has quite a lot of relevancy. So maybe you can connect the dots for us.
Yeah, sure. So what we basically do is that we structure light to our specific needs. So as you can see, there are different types of shapes that you can shape light into. And when you start to manipulate different degrees of freedom for a certain photon, you kind of reach a point where you reach a limit. So for example, in communication, we modulate using amplitude, phase, wavelength, and frequency. And as we try harder, we are reaching a specific point or limit where we cannot go further in it. So what we do is that we change the structure of light to increase the bandwidth of the data transferred. So for example, just to make the structure light concept easier, so it's actually we are twisting light in an axis, and this actually helps us into exploring new degree of freedoms, and we can encode different data into different structured light. And at the end you will end up having a larger bandwidth, and you can actually combine two methods together to even enhance this more. So you can change the amplitude of the light with the structure and even go further. So in our department, this is the place where we actually explore the different possibilities for light.
What are the challenges to commercialize the work that you do?
There are many challenges currently. So this is what we in our department tackle. So for example, when you have a free space optical communication link, you are just shooting a laser through the air, and this is where the problem is happening. So the turbulence in the atmosphere is making it very hard for the receiver to get the signal as it is. So we have to explore the different solution to this problem. Also, this field is very new, so we are currently trying to make it more relevant, to bring it to the market, to bridge the gap between science and the, for example, making a complete prototype which is robust and compact. And for now, you can use such scheme for a short distance. And what we want is to increase the length of this distance. And also, another interesting fact about structure beams is that they are going to give you security. So no one can get into your channel and, for example, listen to what you want or take your data. So it does have its benefits, but also its challenges, and we are trying our best to tackle these problems and make it more relevant to our market.
What about the increased demands for 3D printing, which has, we've also seen become a lot more sophisticated and a lot more intricate? How does your work relate to that in enabling the more intricate fabrication of things?
So to give you at the beginning a brief about 3D printing, it's basically you're shooting a laser beam into material and you are depositing this material into certain structures. And as you are trying to make more intricate parts, you are kind of reaching this limit where it's becoming a bit challenging to make such small, very complex structures. So what we do is that we are going to make the beam focus into a very tight spot, ensuring that we can get the exact structure. And this is one of the interesting things that we do, and actually we filed a patent for that. It's an optical head. You can just plug it into your laser beam and you can start working. It's still in the developing part, but we are very confident that we will make a very big impact in the material processing market.
Okay. Before we move on to Aryan, are there any other commercial applications that you envision related to the work that you're doing?
Yeah, there are multiple of applications that are other than optical communications and material processing. There's also microscopy. So when we focus the light into a very tight spot, we kind of reach the diffraction limit. And a diffraction limit is basically you cannot go shorter than the wavelength of the laser you are using. But if you use another beam with your normal Gaussian beam, you can actually achieve super resolution and you can actually look deeper into cells and much smaller particles. Another application is the optical tweezers, which tie perfectly with XPANSE. We are talking about particles. You can focus the beam into a very tight spot and you can exert some torque or force into it, and you can just easily move the particle without destroying your sample. So it is going to be something interesting, and also we are confident that the laser head we invented will be very useful for those applications as well.
Excellent, thank you. Aryan, I want to move on to your specific focus because it seems to me that everyone is very, very excited about AI and machine learning, but I don't sense that we speak enough about the privacy issues, especially when it comes to ethics. The obvious sectors are healthcare, finance, and law, but I don't know if there are others. So what do you see as the biggest challenge here, and then what do you see as the solution?
I mean, to go on to your initial question about data and the privacy problems. So the issue is that we need to start first with regulations, because the reason why these topics aren't talked about enough is because it's difficult, and the reason how these things would come out is so that it's because, like, let's take an example of a financial institution which probably needs like an AI model for some sort of prediction, like a risk or some sort of like metric that they need to analyze. And but like, would they give their data to a machine learning organization which they collected over years and stuff like that? They wouldn't want to share their data to anyone for analysis. They would rather employ humans to do it. So the way you go about it is to take time, analyze the risks of because there's like such a boom in data in this current day and age. You need to realize how much of ourselves we are putting on the internet, and how much of ourselves is at risk. Like, just the amount of information you put out and how much you can backtrack and like construct a human out of it. Like, okay, I know this person because of the posts or because of the things these people talk about. But so for example, let's say like a machine learning model, right? Like, it has been trained on a lot of data sets. You can like ask it to backtrack a certain data point, and like that could be a certain user living somewhere, and you know so much about its like ways, how the person lives, everything, just by like backtracking how like the machine learning model has been trained by the data.
Let me just jump in. So, are you suggesting that, let's take, for example, the hypothetical of social media and the things people post, because so much people are revealing so much about themselves. Even if our settings are set to private, so let's say Facebook, Instagram, is it possible for machine learning to surpass that and still extract information about us?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the way to avoid that is to like have encryption all across the data sets, so that like when your data does actually go to like the social media servers, it's never in its original format. It's encrypted and then sent to the the social media headquarters, and then the models are being trained on it. So now what it happens is like your data goes, they know where you are, they know what you're posting, where you're drinking your coffee, and like they accordingly target ads to you. So the better metric would be to like encrypt it first, then send it, and then so they don't actually know what.
Right, but in whose interest would that be apart from the individual?
I mean, it's purely for your own interest, because like, if it's your own privacy, you can control who sees your posts. But like, it's not just your friends who see your posts, it's also the social media giant who have access to those data.
Right, so let me just backtrack to be clear on the question. So the question is, let's say I enter your name to, let's say, perplexity.ai. Tell me what Aryan Raj thinks politically about the following 3 topics. Forgive the ignorant question, but is it possible, if you've posted privately, on private mode, on channels about these 3 topics, will Perplexity or any other AI platform be able to extract that information and spit it out for me?
So as of now, if you went right now, so I have tried doing that, and if you went and like actually tried doing that, they would tell you like, I only know the questions you've asked me, I don't know anything about you.
Okay.
But a few like months or like a year back, like if you asked like a certain chat agent, they would basically tell you where you live, like all of the things like they could deduce from the questions you asked. So like as of now, they have like put like regulatory measures, but it's not privacy preserving machine learning. They have like just stopped the model from like, oh, you cannot answer these questions. That's the regulation that they are putting it, but that's not truly like end to end.
I'd have thought that part of the challenge here is incentivizing for either proper regulations or ethical behavior from some of the big tech giants. What's your vision of how we get to the other side of this?
My vision / wish would be to have strict regulations that whatever models or solutions we build that involve AI in it, it always has privacy from the get-go. Like none of the models actually see the data sets. So like there's a lot of like techniques like homomorphic encryption, multi-party computing, things like that, where the models don't actually see your data in like the complete form, or they see it in encrypted form. So what happens with that is they don't really know your data. They know like some encrypted format of it. So they can't really tell anything about you. But the target is achieved. So for example, like my objective, so this is a project we are building at TII, which involves, so we are building a framework which is basically, it will convert any sort of classification task, as in, like let's say you wanted to classify if a certain image has cancer or not, like a skin cancer or not, or like let's say you wanted to analyze a financial data set and tell whether like there's been a fraud that has been committed or not. So the way we do it is we first encrypt the data sets, and that doesn't happen on our side. Let's say you have an app, you take a picture of your, like your hand where you think there's a mole, or you want to know if there's cancer or not. So you encrypt the image right then and there in your app, and then you send it to us, and we analyze that encrypted format, and we have certain ways to compute on it and tell you whether it's actually a cancer image or not. So again, a lot of it has to do with like having strict regulations and rules, like theoretical proofs that your data is actually not seen by us. It's like, yeah.
Understood. Okay. And how do you see PPML evolving over time beyond what we've already laid out? Let's say over the next 5 to 10 years.
So I'll be a bit more generic so that it doesn't sound like I'm completely biased. So my vision, or like my a logical guess is like there are certain like fields of AI that need to do like really well. One of them is like we need like super crazy hardware that can like do like faster computations and like put like less strain on the environment. One, this research. The other is you need smaller models to perform just as better as bigger models. That way, like you're using less resources, harming the environment less. And then the other would be, like ethical stuff, because like again, as I said, like data is like everywhere. Like people can, like not people, but AI can like reconstruct anything about you. So the next step that I completely believe is like any solution we build needs to have privacy from the get-go. So like we don't like build a solution and then like put regulations. Okay, if someone asks you how to build a bomb, you don't answer it. Like it has to be from the very start. Like we don't like add privacy later on, but rather it has to be the first step where we go, like cryptography plus AI.
Understood. Just one last question. Is there anything within the sphere of PPML that you feel is not getting enough attention, that we should be paying more attention to?
So I would rather like answer it in terms that there are certain fields, like I mentioned homomorphic encryption, which is basically that like you encrypt a certain, let's say you wanted to add A plus B. So you basically encrypt A, you encrypt B. There are certain mathematical algorithms which allow you to still add A and B. But the thing with homomorphic encryption is it's like extremely slow. So again, like many privacy preserving machine learning solutions that depend on homomorphic encryptions are super slow. So this area needs way more human resources so that like special hardwares can be developed, which are also like developing as we speak. And special hardwares can be developed, more research can happen, like PPML can become faster, which is like one of the major problems why it's not very popular, because like most of the time people's concerns are faster predictions, like everything should happen fast, like and the main problem with PPML is like it's small, it's like much slower than like actual machine learning. So if you were to do any computations on encrypted data, it's like slower.
How do we recalibrate expectations now that everyone's expecting everything instantly? It's a tough argument, but it's compelling.
Yeah.
Go slower with increased privacy, right?
That's the thing, like I feel like it has more to do with like people realizing how scary it is to just like put everything out there and like be at a risk of getting like so like anyone who has been manipulated because of these things or has been like taken advantage of these things would always like speak for it, but unless something bad, so it's like a negative bias that people usually would like avoid.
It's reactive.
It's
People wait until the bad thing happens.
yeah, exactly.
So tell me this, final words. I'm really keen to know whether and how much you put out there, given what you do. I mean, your whole focus is privacy.
Yeah.
So how active are you online and on social media? And what suggestions do you have for the rest of us?
I'm very active in my work, but I'm not so active in social media. But in terms of like work, as I said, so what we are working in TII is we are building a framework that lets you change any sort of classification task. I think I was talking about this, but I lost my train of thought somehow. But like, so the framework lets you convert any classification pipeline into a private classification pipeline. So let's say like a basic, like I'll take any like basic example, like you send an image to the servers and it returns you the predictions. Let's say like cancer or not, like which is very like useful research, because like it would help like doctors like get a second opinion, have like some actual metrics that what are the risks, etc. So but again, like at the same time there's like regulations, there's like laws that basically protect patient data. You can't just like go around sharing patient data. So hospitals would normally not go to like AI companies to ask them for help for building solutions for them. But what we are building for them is like we are building a framework which allows them to encrypt the data and then send it to us so that we can like send them some results. So we are never actually seeing anyone's data, like be it like financial institutions or.
Right, but again, just in closing, I think you've done a very good job highlighting how scary it is, all of our information that's already out there. So what's your top suggestion for those of us who are hearing your warning call? I mean, should we stop posting on social media? Should we be more careful about, how we reveal ourselves online? I'm not even sure that's possible. Should we be writing reviews anonymously? I mean, I don't know. What comes to mind as some suggestions for how we can take better control before the technology is there or more accessible?
I mean, don't put like everything about yourself like which can harm you in the future, like that. Plus there's like certain browsers that you can use which like guarantee like some sort of privacy, and they are like very mathematically driven. So like I don't want to name anything, but there's some certain browsers that would like have like research papers published that this is how we don't steal your data. So certain measures like that would really be like would go the long way,
Okay, so Google is probably not the top choice, just to put it like that. I think it's
no comments.
Safe, yeah, understood. We got the message. Anyone have any questions? Yeah.
I was wondering if AI can learn to be ethical, like by itself, without like human intervention. Sorry.
AI can't learn anything unless you make it learn that particular thing that you're targeting. Like it all depends on what data you're giving it. So it won't like randomly have this thought, okay, I shouldn't probably like like not collect data where like this person like had Starbucks today. But like if they ever like typed it out to the AI model, they would 100% know it and memorize it. That's basically what like AI does. It memorizes the entire data, and then it sees, okay, like you said this new thing, what is the most similar to what I've already seen, and then it would like predict that.
Okay, thank you.
All good.
Thank you. Excellent question. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.